come on in. All right, ladies, cameras on, because you're on camera too. And so let's turn all those, let me see all the beautiful women who are here with me tonight. Come on in. Let me see who's hanging with us. Ladies, make sure you mute yourself as well, because it's time for WealthyU Wind Down. Good evening, good evening, good evening. Let me greet for those of you who are on Facebook. Just give us, let us know where you're from. Is this your first time at WealthyU Wind Down? Come on in, come on in. Well, I know that we have a lot of new women who've just joined WealthyU community, because we're about to go into what we consider to be an amazing time for WealthyU. And that's when we do our 5-day Savvy Money Makeover Challenge. So I see I got my WealthyU ambassadors in the house. Hey, Kathy, I'm checking you out there in the background. Hey, hey. I see Stephanie. Who else is there? There's Anita. And then we've got some of our newest WealthyU Society members. So Marilyn, hello. But y'all gotta turn on those cameras, ladies. I want to see those beautiful faces. So good evening, everybody. I'm Deborah Owens. I'm founder of WealthyU. I am a critically acclaimed author of 4 personal finance books. I am a former financial services executive, and WealthyU is devoted to closing the knowledge gap and investment confidence of Black women so that they can build their first 7-figure investment portfolio. So come on in. I'm glad you're here. I thought I'd do my full introduction for those of you who are just coming in to WealthyU. But you know what you need to know is that this is a sisterhood, and we are on a mission to help 1 million women build 7-figure investment portfolios. And I've coached thousands of women, and many are now running for 6 and 7, and who never thought they would be. They are watching CNBC. They are getting involved in initial public offerings. They are building their portfolios. They are analyzing, optimizing, and maximizing their financial growth. And so I'm glad you're here for those of you who are joining us for the first time. So this is WealthyU Wind Down. And so let me just share with you. I guess I should have asked my husband what I'm drinking, but I believe I know what this is. This is a Napa Valley Cabernet Sauvignon. It's Jordan. Napa, and I'll be drinking a lot of these wines, honey, because we're headed out to Napa, if we get our vaccines, and in June, so we got a little bit of time, so I'm just easing my way in. So I want to invite all of you to get your favorite beverage. If it's water, that's cool too. But we're just here on Wednesday nights to kind of chop it up, give folks a sense of all the things that we've got happening in WealthyU, and invite you in. And so what's the topic tonight? So the topic tonight, if any of you aren't following me on social media, so make sure you do that on Twitter. If you'll see our social media and community manager, Deprina, is in the house staffing me this evening, but she's doing a great job. And if you just joined us, then a lot of you, I was looking at how you answer questions when you're invited into the WealthyU community. And I've been amazed at the fact that so many of you actually saw us on Instagram. I had no idea. I mean, we're certainly, so just in the chat, ladies, tell me, because I want to get a sense. How did you learn about WealthyU? So in the chat, if you would put in, how'd you learn about it? And let me just pull up the chat, and I'll also be looking at, So you guys can't see me? Really? Okay, well, let's do some. Well, you know what? I have two videos going. Can you see me now? All right. I'm telling y'all to turn on your camera if my camera's not on. That is too funny. I guess I should be reading my messages. So don't laugh at me, Deprina. I see you over there smiling. You like, oh, there she go. You know them baby boomers and that technology. I'm probably reminding her of her mom. But anyhow, good evening, everybody. I'll start that again. Okay, so hey, if you're just here for the first time, I'm Deborah Owens. I'm founder of WealthyU, also known as America's Wealth Coach, critically acclaimed personal finance author, on a mission to empower 1 million Black women and help them build their first seven-figure investment portfolios. And we've got plenty of the women that are on hanging out with me tonight. They're running for 6 and 7 figures. Some have hit 7 figures. And if they can do it, you can do it too. So tonight is WealthyU Wind Down. And this is where we hang out on Wednesday nights. And I just give our community a little update on what we have coming up. And this is really about you. And at the end of the day, what I want you to know is I am you. I'm no different from you. I hail from Detroit. Woohoo! Motown native. So is Deprina. Soon as she was referred to me by someone, she said, Miss Owens, I said, you from Detroit, girl. You good. You all right. You all right with me, because Detroiters are special people. But anyhow, born and raised in Detroit, I didn't come from wealth. My mother worked at Chrysler factory. My father was a sky cap for an airlines. And I just happened to stumble into an investment company, Merrill Lynch, one day. And, walked into those marble halls and heard these people giving stock quotes. And, I'm from Detroit, so Ford, Chrysler, GM, what else was in Whirlpool up in Michigan. And so those were all the stocks that they were quoting. And all I could do was think to myself was, how come I didn't know about this? And I had the good fortune, though, I happened to be in Dearborn, Michigan, where Ford's headquarters was and still is today. And 5-foot woman, African American, probably one of the first African American female, what were called account executives back then. And I was able to have, like oftentimes you hear that thing, you can't be what you don't see. And that woman fundamentally changed my world. I became her apprentice, and then got my own broker's license, and then went on to spend my career with Fidelity Investments. And all while there, I felt like a mission, and that was to educate my community, because what I finally realized, and I really just thought about it in this way within the past year, and it's that investment knowledge, investment know-how, financial literacy, however you want to call it, it's not taught, it's inherited. So I want you to think about that for a minute. Think about, like, had I not stumbled into that investment office, I wouldn't know about investing. You guys understand what I'm saying? And so here's all I want you to know is that, many of you may feel like ignorant or shame around seeing this market now. It just hit a new high today, right? And you might be thinking, oh, well, what is this about? I feel like I should know this. Some of you may have bachelor's degrees, master's degrees, PhDs, but don't you think it's interesting that you were never taught this in your formal education, right? Think about this. Like, I have an MBA from Loyola, an excellent school here in Maryland. And I was shocked that none of my courses had, I was like, man, when I get to this investment course, I'm going to ace this course. I'm so sick of studying. That's going to be the one topic I don't have to be worried about. Not one class. Now, mind you, I didn't go into finance or anything. I was in a management, organizational management track, but still. Yes or no, guys, in the chat, let me know. Did you learn about investing while you were in high school? In the chat, let me know. Yes or no? Were you introduced to investing in high school? Okay, Lakeisha says no. Stephanie, no. Right? How about you went to college? How many of you had an investment course in college? Anybody? Nope. So here's all I'm saying is I am not surprised, right? And so then I'm on this path. I'm at Fidelity. I'm giving all these seminars and workshops, speaking. We did our first Black advertising on BET. And what became clear to me though was, and I had a fast trajectory, VP, managed the West Coast, came and opened the DC Investor Center. But what became really clear to me was that I couldn't say what I needed to say inside. You guys get that? Like, I know many of you have been in corporate careers and, you got to toe the line, right? So I come out and actually Kathy Hughes, first radio advertising we ever did. Kathy Hughes, many people don't know this, but Kathy Hughes gave me my start in radio. And at the time, she only had 2 radio stations. One was in DC and one was in Baltimore. And even now when we see each other, I used to see her on the Tom Joyner cruise because I used to do workshops on there. We laugh and, girl, I remember when you didn't know nothing about radio. And I'd be like, yeah, and I remember when you only had 2 radio stations and now look at you, right? I'm trying to catch up with you. So anyhow, so I figured like I could go on the radio and then I could like tell everybody what they can do about the stock market. And when I was on WOL it simulcast in DC and Baltimore at the time, I would go to seminars and people would tell me, oh, the stock market is like gambling. And I was like, what? So anyhow, so I was on the NPR affiliate in Baltimore for over a decade. And then I went on, so I left Fidelity. I wrote my first book, Confident Investing, a Wealth Building Guide for Women. I went on tour with Bishop Jake, so I toured with him in God's Leading Ladies. And then I did a number of other national tours for the National Association of Securities Dealers, State Farm, Allstate, all these financial services companies became clients. And then I wrote actually went to work. I went back into the investment industry, consulted with Allstate, with their agency owners. And but I knew it wasn't a good fit, right? So all the time, and many of the WealthyU Society know this, I had this vision. And this vision was to write my 3rd book, it would have been at the time, because I had written Confident Investing. And then I wrote Nickel and Dime Your Way to Wealth. And if any of you just joined are going into the challenge, definitely read your Nickel and Dime Your Way to Wealth book. You guys got it? Definitely read that book, because that's the book about a parking attendant who never made more than $12 an hour and built a 7-figure portfolio. So anyway, so I write that book. By the way, I couldn't get anybody to publish it. So I'm at Allstate. I have this vision. I'm going to write this book, A Purse of Your Own. And in that book, I'm going to put my mother's story in it, which was my purse story. And that story was about the fact that my parents had been married for 33 years and then they divorced. And I saw how that impacted my mother. And so that's really how I came on this path, right? Like, I wanted to have a purse of my own, but then when I got into the investment industry, that's what drove me, really, guys. I never understood it until I wrote confident investing, why financial security was so important to me. But it was because I was a 19-year-old woman and I saw my mother standard of living go down, and I said I would always have a purse of my own, right? So I get in this career, and then what I find out is that my mother's story is the rule, not the exception. 9 out of 10 women are going to be responsible for their own finances. They will either never marry, they will either marry, separate, as my parents did, they never divorced, or they will, their husbands will predecease them. So this whole, trope that we see, we still see it today. Real Housewives of Atlanta, half of those women aren't married. You know what I'm saying? Like, you better secure your own bag. And so that's why I've been on this mission. So I know this is a long way of telling you guys this story, but I know we have some new folks in the house. And so I'm just giving you a little context, right? So it's not a circle. I haven't forgotten where I'm at, because I'm trying to show you how I got to understanding that investment knowledge, investment confidence, investment acumen, right? Confidence, knowing how to financial mark, it's inherited. Okay? Because after writing 3 books, being on the radio, being on all these tours, what became clear to me that, you got the internet, you've got all of this information in books. By this point, before starting WealthyU, I had written 4 books. I know you guys have read Susie Orman, what's hers? And by the way, I was on a program with Susie Orman last week with AARP. But you guys read all the books. But did you do anything with it? Right? So did you do anything with it? How many of you guys actually read a book and now you're wealthy? In the chat, tell me, I read a book and now I'm wealthy. Right? Anybody? Has anybody read a book and now you're wealthy? Okay, so fast forward. I'm still on this. Financial knowledge is inherited. I'm still on this, okay? So then I'm out here and then I write this book, A Purse of Your Own. I have this vision, and I'm going to start these purse groups all over the country. And we do our first PBS special. We do. And what I found out later, that I was the only African-American woman to have a PBS special on the topic of personal finance. So here's the other thing. You see how closed we are? Like, you turn on PBS and you'll see all of these shows, but nobody looks like us, right? So anyhow, I do this, but we start these purse groups. Any of you on here had read the A Purse of Your Own and knew about the A Purse of Your Own campaign? Anybody? Okay. All right. So we start these purse groups. I'm excited. We about 1,400 of them start, and then little by little they all stop. You know what I mean? They started and they stopped. And what I didn't know was what those purse groups needed was a leader, right, who had inherited financial knowledge. And had we known that, we would have trained those women, right, somebody to lead it, like we have our WealthyU ambassadors now. So I'm on this mission, financially empower 1 million women, and then the purse groups falter, and I'm just like, I don't know what I'm supposed to do. Because here's the thing, it's the numbers are getting worse, right? Just in terms of, if you look at the wealth gap, it's widened after 2008. How many of you lost a lot after 2008? In that last recession, how many of you lost? Maybe you were upside down in your house. In the chat, let me know, like, did 2008, did your family, were you impacted by that? Were you upside down? Did you see your investments go down? And so it took us a long time to recover. So, while now here it is like 12 years later, and what we've seen over that 12-year period is the number of households with $1 million in assets double. But for black folks, stayed the same, right? Like no change. And then if you look in those numbers, what you see is part of the reason for that is because we didn't have any stocks in our, the only stocks that we own. And in fact, what the studies show is that 62% of households headed by African American women have no outside stock investment. Like you might own some mutual funds in your retirement accounts, you guys getting me? But you don't own like stocks on your own. And see the result of that, the impact of that, right? The impact of not owning stocks is households, the S&P 500 large company stocks have averaged 15%. But we've been seeing, what have we been seeing on in savings? What are you guys earning on your savings account? Let me just ask you a question. What percentage return are you earning on your savings account? Do y'all even know? Do you guys know what you're earning on your savings account? Not even 1%, right? So the difference, here's all I want you to understand. The difference between earning 1% and averaging, okay, Daphne, 2%, woo-woo, Terry's less than 1%, 3%, go ahead, girl. Let me know what that 2.99 is, because I need to get in on what you up to. But really, the difference between you earning 1% and averaging 15% over time is hundreds of thousands of dollars. So here's the other thing I would say that I learned is that because of that lack of knowledge, you're playing not to lose. You're not playing to win. I want you guys to get this, right? Like you're so afraid of losing that that's what it makes you focus on not losing, that because you have a mindset of what we call in WealthyU the earner mindset, right? Because that's how we were taught to be earners, and that if we earned enough income, but in fact, earning income will not make you wealthy. Holding on to your dollars will not make you wealthy. You cannot save your way to wealth. Okay, that's what I want you guys to get, right? So then the question is, all right, smarty pants, Deborah Owens, now what? You done went out here and you done wrote all these books, you done started this purse group. And so I had, like, in 2015, my son said to me, he was like, mine, he had been doing my strategy for Owens Media Group. And he was like, Ma, listen, you got books, you built a curriculum for a university. So, okay, I digress. So what I also need to divulge is I also have Owens Media Group. And so Owens Media Group still to this day customizes workshops, speaks, ambassadors for large organizations, like AARP, speak at different places and actually create kind of curriculum. So I had built this curriculum for this university, but it was ours. And so my son said to me, well, Ma, your moniker, you're known as America's Wealth Coach now. Coaching is personal. Why don't you take your curriculum, use the book as a textbook, just like you do at the university, and start WealthyU? He actually came up with the name WealthyU. Now, the funny thing about the name WealthyU, the website, somebody owned it, so we literally had to buy it from them. And so I was like, Brandon, I don't know. I don't want to advise people. When you advise people, they don't take your advice. You tell them what to do, and they walk out the door and they don't do nothing. Who does that sound like? You guys ever went and talked to an advisor? They told you what you should do, but because you didn't understand it, you were like, I don't know, right? That's that knowledge gap. right? So even when you're given, and many times you're not given the right information, but even if you are, you don't act on it. So, okay, we go down this road, and I say, okay, Brandon, and I launch wealth coaching. And some of those women are here tonight that, 2015, 2016 were some of my first clients. And so I coached, so from 2015 to 2020, what I learned was that's exactly it, right? Like, there is this knowledge gap, there is this investment gap. And so here's the other thing that I learned. I learned that even when you go and ask for help from a financial advisor or at a financial services institution, many times you're not even given help. How many of you have actually ever reached out, called an investment company, said, hey, I want to learn how to invest, or I got a few dollars, and they were like, you don't have enough money, right? Or they don't say that, but they kind of like shoo you away. Has that happened to anybody? Anybody? Okay. So I didn't know that. I didn't know that you were actually going and asking for help and you weren't getting any assistance until I literally went to an investment company in DC with a client for her to open an account, $30,000. I'll never forget it. And all that person said to her was, what's your social security number? What do you want to invest in? And I said, are you going to sit down with her and give her a sense of, where she should invest in her money? And she said, oh no, she has to have an appointment. And I said, oh, well, how does she get an appointment? And she said, oh, well, you'll need to call. So I knew what that was, right? That was kind of the okie doke. Agree or disagree with me, guys? Was that the okie doke? Okay, so that was just shooing us out the way. So that's when I realized, wow, like if somebody hasn't taught you this stuff, you are on your own. You guys with me? You following me? If someone hasn't taught you, you are on your own. Okay? And so that's when I realized that investment knowledge was inherited. And that's when I realized that if we're going to change the financial condition of our community, that it all starts with Black women. Are you with me? And so last week, what just came out is an investment company came out and said that they're going to invest $10 billion in the financial well-being of Black women. So they're betting on Black women. But in their study, it broke everything that I'm telling you. It's what they broke down was that when Black folks go into an investment company, they're usually relegated to lower yielding investment or what they say are safe investments, right? Like, so how many of you have been put in target date funds? Like answer the question 1, 2. It's like an algorithm. To me, it's like investment redlining, right? Like if you don't know, then here, just go on that, right? And so this company just came out and they said they were going to invest $10 billion in Black women. And so, one of the things that I did with the help of my wonderful social media person, Deprina, our community manager, was I shared, and that's what I want to share with you tonight, why I bet on Black women. Because this is what I want you guys to understand is that it's been a journey. Right? Like I'd be out here pitching for money, venture capital for this business. I'd give my pitch and would kill it. And you know what I would hear? Why do you want to focus on Black women? Like you were great, but I feel like what you're trying to do is you're rolling a boulder up a hill. And I thought to myself, isn't that the point? Isn't the point that you want to solve a problem? So here's what I want you to know. Here are the 3 reasons why I bet on Black women and have devoted 2 decades to it. This is the biggest thing. It's because Black women need access to investments that pay higher returns and accelerate their financial growth. Are you with me? Like, you already have what you need if you just knew what to do with it. And so many of the reasons that we don't have the wealth has nothing to do with, we're always depicted as we're spendthrifts or we're this. No. Here's what I'm going to tell you. Black women are conservative. We are savers. So we're savers because we never had any experience and nobody ever taught us. But guess what? Here's the other thing that I found out is that Black women are wired to invest because we are the influencers. We are the trendsetters. We set trends. We can look into the future and we know what is value. We know values, right? Like, so I tell the story in my book, A Purse of Your Own, about my mom who would only use Tide detergent. And when I got my own house, she would come over. I would have that little no-name brand. She was like, baby, you just using twice as much. You might as well buy the good stuff so you don't have, so that's how our brains are wired. Now, imagine if my mother had took that one step further and had just invested in Procter & Gamble. Had she been exposed to wealth, then she would have been able to do that. You guys understand what I'm saying? So that's why I bet on Black women. And the other thing I want to tell you is that I've proven it to be true. Because there are women in WealthyU who started and knew literally nothing about the financial markets and now how they work. And now that they've been given a roadmap because they've been given the foundational knowledge about how the financial markets work, about how to analyze and research a stock, about how to analyze and research a mutual fund, how to properly allocate their funds and build a portfolio, it's on and popping. So that's what I learned over these 5 years, is that it can be done. But what I've also had to understand is that I can't do it alone. You know how they say you can have it all, but you can't have it all at the same time. One of the things that I know about this community is that we have to accelerate the growth. We have to teach more women. And here's the 3rd reason why. Because I know if we educate a Black woman and teach her how to accelerate her financial growth, we are going to impact generations to come. Are you guys with me? Because then we will pass that knowledge on to our family. And Black women, we belong to everything. We belong to the church. Some of my WealthyU sisters, they're not here because they still on Zoom. They may not be at church, but they still doing church, right? You belong to your sorority, you belong to, you name it, you belong to social clubs, you belong to political organizations. And if I teach you, if we teach you, then you can pass that on. And so that takes me to the next level of why in order to get to 1 million women, then we've got to train more women. Right. And so many of you have seen our WealthyU ambassadors. They have been through this. They've learned it. And now they're pouring into you. And what I'm most proud of is in the WealthyU Society, now they're training. We've got Stephanie Hawkins on here, WealthyU ambassador. She trains WealthyU Society members on how to set up a stopwatch list. We had an amazing training by one of our other ambassadors, Michelle Smith, who did training on Stash App, right? So we have to marshal our resources, ladies. agree or disagree with me, ladies? Like, are y'all with me? Are you gonna be one of the 1 million women? Because we're going. And that brings me to the next step, the thing that I had to realize that I didn't realize until last year, until COVID hit, and we launched the WealthyU Society, where now we have we're doing a 12-month program. So, in the past, WealthyU was one-on-one coaching with me, right? So you had either, 6 or, 4 or 8 sessions with me. You had access to that curriculum, and, we did our one-on-ones. And then what used to baffle me, though, is I would be giving webinars and, training and doing these kinds of things. And I would see all of my wealth coaching clients, and I would be like, you already know. And they'd be like, no, just got to stay plugged in, because I'll revert back to how I used to be, right? Because this really is a mindset change, guys. It is. I mean, I know you guys hear mindset, but listen, here's all I want you to know is that everything that we were taught, I'm not going to just come right out and call it a lie, okay? But what I am going to say is what we were trained to be was workers, right? Like we were given the income mindset. And bless our parents' heart, we have done far. I mean, if you look back, my parents are from Alabama, the South. My grandfather was a sharecropper, and if you hear the stories of what their childhood was like, right? I mean, my mother picked cotton, and let's be clear. So I mean, I am living my ancestors' dream. I get that, right? Like I get that. But the bottom line is the way to wealth is not just earning an income. I want you guys to get this, right? The way to wealth is not earning an income. It's turning that income into wealth. Yeah, I think Deprina put this quote up the other day, and it was that if you don't learn how to make your money work, you're going to work every day. You'll never stop working. So that is the shift that you make in WealthyU. And so getting back to the point is that in order for us to get to the promised land, we are not going to do it alone. And that's what I learned in the WealthyU Society, because the most powerful thing is that you can still get access to this knowledge. Just like I said, it's in my book, A Purse of Your Own, right? The curriculum is based on the book, A Purse of Your Own. But the most powerful thing about community is accountability and support and implementation, right? So accountability and support and implementation. And that's what I learned in this last year, watching prior wealth coaching clients, and you know who you are, so I'm not going to call you out. Got into the WealthyU Society, that month to month, those meetings every other week, the quarterly master classes, access to other people, seeing other women just like themselves, and just went whoosh. Now, mind you, the market, it did cooperate with us. Would you agree? I mean, we're hitting high, so I'm not mad about that. But so for the past 12, we're going into our 12th month too. Started right with COVID. That's when we launched the WealthyU Society. Actually, the official date launched in May. And since then, it's been remarkable. And we had our greatest growth last year, but we're going higher this year. So here's what I want all of you to know is that we are about to launch our next 5-day Savvy Money Makeover. And it is the most fun. Now, all I got to tell you is everybody's going to be exhausted, but it is a lot of fun. And so if you haven't signed up for the free Savvy Money Makeover Challenge, make sure that if you're on in the WealthyU community, it's right on the page. And then Deprina, if you can put that link in for those who are on Zoom with us or on Facebook as well, I want you to join. It is so much fun. So we're putting a little fizz in the game this time, ladies. So we're going to have a workbook, and we're going to be working it out. So you're going to have real activities. And the point of the 5-day Savvy Money Makeover is really for you to do your own financial makeover. Now, the first thing a lot of the concepts that I'm talking about tonight about making that shift from an income to a wealth mindset, and the fact that what we were taught was incorrect. So I'm going to be challenging a lot of things that you thought were true. I'm going to be kind of, pushing you on that. And any of you in the WealthyU, tell me what it means to make the shift from income to wealth. From the income to a wealth mindset, do you make just different decisions about the choices that you make now? Okay. Who is making different decisions? Who has made the shift from an income to a wealthy mindset? And I guess the other question I have for you guys is, I'd love for you to just, think about, like, what are you doing differently now than before you joined the WealthyU Society? And, Terry, you just joined and I've been watching you in the group, and, it really, ladies, it's about leaning in. And so the official launch is Monday, and it's off to the races. So we meet every night at 8:00. And every night I'm going to be teaching you to apply something. You're going to have a reflection. And then the next morning, we're going to take that, we're going to apply it. And each morning builds on each day builds on another. And at the end of that, you're going to see how you could build a 7-figure investment portfolio. See, many of you, when I say that number, you don't even think it's possible. Like, what is she talking about? She think, we got to hit the lottery. No. And again, in the book, Nickel and Dime Your Way to Wealth, many of the concepts that we'll be going over in the 5-day challenge are in that book. Right? So we're going to show you how to find the money to invest. The bottom line, and I think no one will disagree with me on this, is the bottom line is you're going to see that you've been serving everybody else's goals except your own, right? And so really it's about you first really aligning, what do you want? That's what I find, until you get clear on what you want, you're not going to know what to say yes or no to. I think the biggest thing you learn in WealthyU is how to say no nicely. Agree or disagree with me, ladies. It's like everybody's got a plan for your money except you. So one of the things when you get clear on what's important to you, you're going to easily be able to say to people, I appreciate your thinking I can do this, but I'm already committed. And I mean your children. I mean, it's going to be like, I have become like with some of my clients, when their children, when they start, when my wealth comes, they were like, I can't stand her. You know what? I don't mind playing the bad guy because I want you to say yes to your future, right? So the challenge starts on Monday. Every night at 8:00 we meet. Now, all of the recordings, we know people are busy. You're busy women. All of the sessions are recorded, and you can watch them at your if you don't make it that night, you can watch it. You'll have all of you who are on here tonight on Facebook or on Zoom. Make sure you connect with your ambassador. Oh, Regina, I'm already the bad guy. My wealth coach says that's right. My wealth coach says, no, I ain't buying them Nike shoes. You better go buy you some Nike stock, brother. No. Anyhow, right? I see you, Stephanie, you laughing. I know you were giving your son, teaching him how to research stock. That, you know what? I'm glad I said that. I thought of that, Stephanie, because that is what this is about. Imagine, I just want you to imagine if you had learned this when you were a child, right? How different would it be? How different, but you know what? That doesn't even matter. How different is it going to be for our grandchildren, right? Because, rather than us giving them a iPad or iPhone, we've given them Apple stock, and that's going to expose them to it, and they're going to have dividends reinvesting, and then it's just going to become something natural that they do. Wouldn't that be awesome? So that's what I want you to understand. The power and the vision for all of this has less to do with money and more to do with freedom. You guys get that? Because that's all wealth really is. The ability to fully experience life without worry. To know that if something were like COVID, okay, now can I get real with y'all? The one thing COVID did for, I think, all of us really is help us to see what was important. A lot of the little things that we were doing habitually did nothing to move us toward any ultimate goal, right? Or, now I'm going to start getting militant liberation, right? We got to be, imagine how it would feel if you got up and, tomorrow and you just said, well, you know what? I think today I am going to just head to the beach, right? No concern about a job or whatever. That's what I'm talking about, freedom, right? Like, I don't even want to look at y'all today. So I have decided that today I'm not looking at y'all. And you know what? It's all right. You can like it or leave it. That's what I'm talking about, freedom. Or, what if an opportunity came to you to invest in a real estate deal, right? And you could see that it was going to be a profitable outcome, and you had access to that opportunity, right? That's what I'm what WealthyU is about. It's about expanding your mindset, because it really is a mindset, right? You guys saw Kyrie. You guys remember Kyrie? If you guys came to the masterclass, my mindset coach. Here's all I want you to understand. Next level, new devil. You guys get that? Like, next level. Every time you try to go to the next level, our brain and physiologically, anytime we move from where we are, right, and we want to go beyond where we've never been, like, when I was just sharing this with someone, I had never invested like $25,000 with a coach for my own personal development. And a good friend of ours, and I watched them grow this business. And, I think my husband was getting really, really, I'll say it, frustrated, because he felt like I was always leaning on my own will, knowledge. And that is a disease of Black women. You know what I'm saying? Like, we believe we should know how to do it and we could figure it out. We'll just stay up night and day and we will get this done. That's how we're wired. But that's not how you become successful, right? It's not the how, it's the who, right? Write this down. It's not the how, it's the who. And that's what I had to learn. So when he said, this is a 25, I was like, what? And my husband said, write the check. Because you know what? If you going to go next level, I certainly can't help you. So if you get on my nerves. No, I'm just kidding. No, I'm sure that's what he felt too. So anyhow, so after that year, boom, it just started clicking, right? And then then you may outgrow that, and then you go and you find other help. And so that's when Kyrie came into my life, and the other, they're on her team. And I mean, here's what I want you guys to understand. You don't even know what you don't know, right? And the other thing you don't realize, and this is what you're going to get in WealthyU, is it's the energy of the people around you, right? Like we're on this tonight. Like, we hang out like this all the time. We have even in COVID, we probably are more intimate than ever because, we have our master classes, we have our training every other week. Sometimes we just have pop-in training. Sometimes, like I was on AARP the other night, and it's that energy that even when you get discouraged, allows you to stay the course, and then you believe it, and you're like, if she can do it, I can do it. And I've been watching all these wins in the WealthyU community. Paid off for $40,000 in debt. My credit score is already up 65. Some of you guys, your credit score has went from 600 to down near 800, right? But it was intentional. But intentional in the way that it's it's like the little, you don't realize how the little decisions that you're making over time. I just saw this quote, and it talked about the fact that a little drip of water over a long time can cut into a rock, right? So that's what I want you to get. I want you to get that it's the small decisions that you're making day to day, right? Minute to minute, hour to hour. Do I do this or do I do that? And then the decision with the wealthy mindset really becomes, what is the long-term impact of this decision going to be, right? So often we're just dribbling and drabbling, and we just think, that won't matter, that won't matter. Everything matters. Everything matters. Because this is what I had to learn, is that what I didn't realize is, I've been given so much grace, right? So this is all I want to say. Like, if you realize that I came from Detroit, right? Not the highfalutin part of Detroit. I'm talking Detroit. Okay? And there are some highfalutin places in Detroit. If you went to Cass Tech, if you did this, if you did that, then you had it going on. Well, I did go to Cass Tech for about 6 months, and I was like, those people are too snooty for me. But anyhow, I digress. So the point that I want to make is this. So in spite of all the opportunities that I've had, right? So I've managed the West Coast, been a VP, traveled, had the territory, Hawaii to San Diego, San Francisco, wonderful home in California, Pleasant Hill, moved to the East Coast, great life, great kids. They've had great opportunities. They're doing great. But every time I want to go to the next level, I pull back. Now, why is that? And here's why. Because every time you leave that comfort zone, you're going to want to go back to where you're comfortable with. I want you guys to get this. Like, there's a great book you should read, The Big Leap. And in The Big Leap, it talks about upper limit, that we have an upper limit problem. And so what happens is every time that we want to move beyond our current circumstances, physiologically, our brain goes back to that caveman that says, safety. You've never been there before. Girl, you better not, who you think you are? You better not go over there. You want to go there on vacation. You better not. Have you ever? And here's the funny thing. Like, there is an area in Detroit where called Grosse Pointe, and black folks actually live in Grosse Pointe, but that used to be like Jim Crow. If your toe went over there, you was black and you weren't supposed to be there. So anyhow, that's what the upper limit problem is, right? Like, that is not for you. Okay? So even when an opportunity, just like when that opportunity that allowed me to see things bigger, see things clearer, go to the next level, understand how you build a business and how you sustain and how you grow and how you make a bigger impact. In my little mind, I was doing fine. You know what I mean? Like, I'm fine, I'm doing well, I'm traveling, I've got my little books and this, but that's for me. Impact is not about you. Impact is about how you're going to impact others. And so in order for me to do that, I had to get with people who did that, right? And who helped others do that. And I think so often, and I'm going to end on this because it's 9:00, is that this is so clear, and I want you guys to get this. Are you in, as Nipsey Hussle says, are you in a circle where the people around you want to go higher, or are you in a cage where they just want to keep you with them and around them and not growing? Last thing, I'm talking to someone, and I'm not gonna say who it is. It's one of my one of WealthyU members, and she said, Miss Deb, I was talking to somebody, and I told him, man, you should come over here and check out WealthyU, blah blah blah. Do you know? Here I am trying to help them, and they didn't even follow up. It's exactly what you said, Deb. Even some of your friends, they want to be in a cage, right? So here's all I want you to know is that, and what I had to learn myself, is that in order to go to the next level, somebody has to take you there, right? Like, if you could have did it in your own strength, you would have done it already. But the other point I want to make is this, is that you can measure a person's success by the ability to ask for help. And sometimes that help, this is the other thing, ladies, is a lot of times we trying to do things for free, right? But freedom is not free. Anything of value is going to take an investment. So next week, I want you to make an investment in time in yourself. Free 5-day Savvy Money Makeover Challenge. Every night we're going to be there. The ambassadors are going to be there cheering you on along the way. You got some friends in your circle who need to go to the next level. All we want you to do is invite them. And we do a lot of preparation for this challenge, a lot. We invest a lot, we promote a lot, because we got a big job if we're gonna get to our million. And that's what I tell this team every day is, if we're gonna get to 1 million, we gotta tell people, we gotta invite people in. So for those of you who are either watching this on replay, you may be watching me on Facebook, I want you to invite your friends. Just invite them to the WealthyU community on Facebook. Come on in and get into what we're up to. If you did not get the Savvy Money Makeover Kit with all of the other tools, which are usually only our members get, you still can get that. And Taprina, if you can put that in the chat or the Facebook, just the link to the Savvy Money Kit, that would be great if you want to get a head start. Because my advice to you is to read the Nickel and Dime Your Way to Wealth book. If you read that book, you're going to be light years ahead. But also, we made the the master class available. That Black Girl Magic Wealth class was fire. We had Kim Coles, and she did a great presentation on just monetizing your story. We had Minda Harts, best-selling New York Times author of Secure the Seat. If you want to learn how to go to the next level in your job, she gave a very compelling conversation. If you haven't gotten her book, you need to get that. We had one of my wealth coaching clients, bad sister, CEO of Shadavi, built a 7-figure company with no employees. I mean, all of it was virtual. She just gave some, talked about her own personal journey and how a life coach really changed her life. And then, and was able to help her transition from corporate. And then who else did we have? Oh, Tisa Silver. If you got student loan debt, woo! Tisa's one of our WealthyU members. She gives a great presentation as well. You get all that. We're darn near giving it away, but it's worth it, and you're worth it. And so that's what all I want to tell you is that this is why I bet on Black women. I bet on Black women because you did not gain the knowledge that you needed, and everything that we're told, it didn't work out for us. But we have the blueprint, and over and over and over, women are applying these principles. They're accelerating their financial growth, and they will create generational wealth for their families and pass it on. So again, thank you so much for joining us for Wealthy Wind Down. I'm Deborah Owens, founder of WealthyU, where we help Black women build their first 7-figure investment in portfolios. So hey everybody, good night.